iko njaa, wanapanga kutumaliza, na naishi kwa tumaini, najitolea. Anguka nayo. Anguka nayo. And then, of course, vijana msilale, vijana msilale. Who can Bwogomi? Who can? Those songs are a fruit of anything we go through as Kenyans in general. Some have even attempted to actually be our second national anthem. For example, a song by Eric Wainaina, Daima Mkenya, is definitely pretty close to our national anthem. Right now, tunataka kujua, as wasanii, first of all, what do you think about the state of the country right now? And of course, what do you think arts can do for us to actually capture the moments, and of course, as a response to our daily lives? I'll start with Willie Oeba. Kindly talk to us a little bit about what you think art is important for any form of revolution.
Wow, thank you. Art is very important. One, art is just like the fourth estate. The work of art is to set the agenda, and also the other work of art is to spark a revolution of the mindset. I am a spoken word artist, and I started doing pieces on social justice in 2017. And in 2020, there's a piece I did called Dear Mr. President. We also did Wajinga Nyinyi back in 2019. And the conversation has been set over time, and what art has done. Because I say we are not where we want to be, but we have to respect the fact that we are not where we used to be. So art has revolutionized mindset and sparked our consciousness over time. I say, just like Tupac, the idea of art and my philosophy of art is not to change the world, but to spark the mind that will change the world, because true leadership is in delegation. So I believe as a country, we are not going in the right direction in terms of leadership and governance, but the youth have taken up their space.
Dofandis, what do you have to say about the same?
For me, art is the revolution itself, like the essence of revolution. Because the reason we're here as artists is because there was Kamaru before us. There was Eric Wainaina before us. There was Kalama Shaka before us. There was Mashifta before us. So when Mashifta told us ini system ya majambazi, and they only used to say majambazi ni maboi wa ghetto, then wanasema sawa, maboi wa ghetto pia si ni majambazi, lakini kuna maloya pia majambazi, kuna wanasiasa majambazi, na pia si vijana wa ghetto ni majambazi. So na si ni majambazi juu kuna hao majambazi wengine, unaona? So essentially for me, art is the essence of revolution, and this might be the time when there's a generation that is answering the cause. But art has been ahead of this conversation. Because without the Kalama Shakas, I wouldn't have been politicized, because we weren't politicized in school. We were politicized by the arts, right? Without the Mashiftas, we wouldn't have, seen the Majambazis that are wearing suits, right? And now it's that consciousness that has been developing since that time that we are here. And finally, there's a substantial enough number of people who are saying, yeah, now we have to stand and reclaim this country, because this country has been dysfunctional since the colonial masters conjured it, right? That dysfunction is what now is getting to a point where it's unsustainable. And so all this is a build-up of decades, almost a century, right?
Yeah. Kinuthia, you're an actor, and hakuna mali utaenda kwa hii dunia ukose kuona msee ana watch film. And in music also, yani, film is such a serious element.
Yeah.
Remember in Kenya, growing up, we would often make fun of Nigerians and how they shoot their films. And we definitely say, oh, bad quality, oh, story sound is a specific thing that's happening. But right now, Nigerians, they can tell their stories through films. I would like to just, I'd like you to help us shed some light on why it's important to also just tell our stories through films. And with the emergence of technology, we have reels, we have stories, and such platforms where we can share our struggle and revolution in motion. Kindly talk to us about why it's also important to use film, theater, and music to capture these moments in time.
Thank you so much. We like to think of the Social Justice Center Traveling Theatre as films in the streets, films at your doorstep. And why we came up with the idea of the Social Justice Center's Traveling Theatre was because our generation is a generation that has been disengaged a little bit from reading a lot. We, like the president of the Law Society of Kenya said, you'll find people more on their phones than they are on socializing physically. And the Social Justice Center's Traveling Theatre ideally does street storms. We say a market that you like. We think about issues that affect that particular community. For example, in my community, Mathare, extrajudicial killings have been a huge problem. And dialogues like this sometimes work, but not always. And it's impossible to maintain consistently on a daily basis dialogues that make people understand means in which that they can liberate themselves. And within the Social Justice Center's Traveling Theatre, it's a composition of young people drawn from different communities within Nairobi. And the idea is to show people the injustice that they go through and to think of ways with them through participation, ways in which that they can liberate themselves. For example, we've had issues of arbitrary arrests, and as human rights defenders, it becomes so difficult to respond to every case of arbitrary arrests. So when we go to these markets, when we go to churches, we demonstrate to them, when you're arrested, what do you do? Call somebody, talk to the police, and let them know that you have your rights, as enshrined under Article 49 of the Constitution of Kenya. Call a person who can come and follow up. When you go to the police station, ensure that you're booked on the OB. So when we do this through ACT, people get to understand, people get to relate.
The piece, it's also through the follow-up,
Yes.
either meetings or maybe your submissions or maybe even petitions soon after, right?
Yes, yes.
Sasa, Iyani, would you like to talk to us a little bit about,
Yeah.
especially your two new songs, eh?
Yeah.
They're actually off what you often write about.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
I'd like to know, why is it that you decided to go that direction? And is it just a response of you as a young man in Kenya today, or just as an artist who's just making an observation?
Personally, I believe my art is meant to educate and entertain at the same time. And at this point, tumeishi kusikia like, we kama msanii, you are a reflection of the society, like when kioo cha jamii. And me believe like personally, me being a mirror of the society, I'm supposed to speak of each and everything that I feel is affecting those around me and also affecting me, directly or indirectly. So through my art, it's so easy. Niko na mafans in so many different parts of the country. And mimi kutoka hapa, siwezi toka hapa sasa niseme naenda Mombasa, kuongelesha msee, ni get kusikia story yake like how life is going for that person. But through my art, neza communicate something, neza muelezea like, generally this is how we feel, and this is how things are moving. And mimi kama siko sawa, and so many other young people are not okay, it's my responsibility as an artist to sit down and write something that will speak to so many other young people and give them some sort of direction, because me I believe art, it's meant to spark something. Art iko meant to speak something into our lives. Now art iko meant to give us some sort of direction as a society na kutuonyesha like where we're heading to.
Let me ask you swali tu moja.
Yes.
And pia naweza penda kujua from the audience. Do you feel like the political class is listening to us through our pieces? Do you feel like they listen to the works of art produced by our artists? And if so, do you think wana respond positively towards the same? Ulioeba, when you did Wajinga Nyinyi, kwanza nataka utugusie tu kidogo Wajinga Nyinyi part. Sijui kama ni part 1 ama 2 ama 3. But of course, I just want you to touch on it. Zile issues you spoke about years ago, they're still the same issues.
Yeah.
When Eric Wainaina did a song, Nchi ya watu wadogo, ni nchi ya kitu kidogo, ni watu wangapi wameshikwa hapa hivi na kwa gari na wakaambiwa watoe hongo so that gari yao isishikwe? Either kama uko na gari ama gari yenyu imeshikwa, matatu. Anyone by show of hands? Gari yenyu ishaishikwa kwa na watu wakitoa hongo? Ni mara ngapi umeenda kwa ofisi za gava and you're told, hey, utacheza kama wewe? Kila siku unacheza kama wewe, si ndio? Wangapi by show of hands? Kuna watu hawachezi hapa, mko sawa? Hamjaicheza kama nyinyi. But I'd like to know, do you think that they listen to us?
Great.
And do they respond?
I'll do the piece as a parting shot when we are through. And before I answer, and as I answer that, I'd like to reiterate what Iyani has said. Art is not only the reflection of the society, but also art is supposed to set the agenda. So there's a very thin line between artists being just reflection of the society and artists being leaders. And I think we are both. Artists are supposed to point us to a certain direction and spark what we've called the revolution of the mindset. Yeah.
Dolphin, what do you think about the same?
I think, you know, the experiment you did, right? The experiment we started with, you know, speaks for itself, right? And for me, even on top of those things that art is, you know, art is also therapy, sindio? Like saizi vile yani kila time ukiangalia news unaanza kumwona kichwa, right? Nini ndio inakutoa kwa hiyo zone? Right? Mziki, movies, unajua unaanguka nayo kidogo alafu una feel uko re-energized, unasema Tuesday tuko ndani, si ndio? So it's not and not just that. The other important thing is art is memory. Yeah. Right? Because saizi kuna vitu most zina happen zenye tutasahau, right? Na hizo experiences zote zinakuwa captured too in different forms. Kuna wasanii wataandika novels juu ya hii time. Kuna wasanii wanaandika songs juu ya hii time. So 10 years from now, ukisikiza anguka nayo, it's not just going to be a song you're dancing to. It's going to be a time in history, right? It's going to be memory. And it might not be saying much in terms of breaking down in it, like, but the essence in a capture your momentary revolt. And it's gonna take you back to a moment where young Kenyans decided enough was enough, you know, with bad governance. Enough is enough with, you know, blatant corruption. And we're gonna reflect on how far we've come from that point.
I love how you're speaking. But the biggest fear has been, you see, like wakati in America when Obama was doing his campaign, he had artists support him. Yeah. He had Jay-Z, Beyonce. He had big names come and support and actually give an endorsement and say, Barack Obama Tosha, or in their version in English, okay? In other countries, we've seen also DJs or individuals rise up to ranks and become presidents. Madagascar is a good example. Yeah. Is it only in Kenya whereby we are used as a tool for campaign? Then when the season is done, we are not seen in platforms where we can issue guidance on governance. If so, then we are seeing as enemy number one. For example, in South Africa during their struggle, we saw people like Hugh Masekela, one great trumpeter. We saw people like Miriam Makeba, such an influential voice. She was not even living in a country by the time she was fighting for it through music. Do you feel like it's high time as artists we separate ourselves from the arts at times or use this as a tool to speak even louder when it comes to governance? Because munakumbuka uhululuto tano tena akasema nini? Mesau, and si usahau haraka. Dani, you see, we were seen using such songs for campaign season, but as soon as that, do you feel that we also equally have space to bring any issue that we see, either to books or also to just fight against or speak for the people?
Yes. I was actually thinking of the way Ruto used Hatupangwingwi, and he used it in a bad way. because understanding the way people felt at that time, people felt that, like we are still feeling right now, we were so suppressed, the economy was so tight for most Kenyans. And art, and Ruto understanding that art captures the feeling, captures the emotions of the masses. He used Atupangwingwi to, more of to say to kina unye kwendeni huko, na siwatambui. So as artists, I think it's time that the artistic world comes together as a collective and reflects on what future they can actually provide or what guidance they can give to the young people of this country. And there are good examples, like when the concert was done at Uhuru Park, the artists that we saw and the artists that we could not even expect them to be there because of the kind of art that they do. So it also goes back to what art do you do, what's the content of that art, and how does this reflect with the masses. So, and the masses can never be wrong. The masses know what they feel, the masses know what struggles they go through, and it's upon us as artists or individual artists to think of the future that they're going to be living with their music or with their art. Yes.
I think pretty much like anything else, there's always two sides, right? Where it's like when I tell you, it's on one end, if you ask the police what they're doing, they're going to tell you, we're enforcing law and order, right? But from this side, when I'm the one taking the baton, I don't feel very protected at that moment, right? And I think it's the same thing with art. And for a very long time, because of how, and you have to look at it in context, in history, right? Because Kenyan art didn't really start developing, as an art form until towards, early 90s going forward. Because for the first, since 1963, the first two presidents were very anti-dissent. By default, art is dissent, right? So, and because of that, they stifled. So any form of art that was encouraged is sycophancy, right? So if the president is coming and you guys can, form a choir and sing some Kenya nchi yetu tunaipenda, unajua, and raisi wetu, unajua, yeah. So if you can do that, right? Right? If you can do that, right? Then you're good, right? But then it's towards the time when now people are seriously demanding for multi-party, that art now starts as an art form, as a form of expression, not as a way of, pleasing the master, kind of, right? And so if you look at it in that way, because also that now, and looking at even the people like Ngugi wa Thiong'o, having to go to exile, because, we can give examples from South Africa, but we have examples here, right?
Yeah, literature.
Yeah.
Through literature, yeah.
Yeah, because that's art as well. So, it's taken a long time for us to be here. But now, we're at a point where I think there's oversaturation of all these, feelings of frustration and pent-up anger, pent-up hunger, and people are like, it's enough, right? And so, and art has been reflecting that all the while. It's just that we had a convergence point, and now this is where they say you can either betray or honor your cause, and I feel like this generation is honoring its cause, right?
Proper. Yani, umenyamaza sana, lakini I'd like to know, what do you think we should do to up our game? Because most times you're used doing campaigns, but then when it comes to kutekeleza na kueleza, and of course for civic education, it's rare that we see the same artists that were used for campaign coming to the forefront and making sure that our cry is actually heard as Kenyans. Talk to us.
I think it narrows down to the, first of all, principalities, personal principalities as a person, and what you stand for as a person. Then hizi vitu zingine zina come in later, because ukiangalia, like, it's the same issue. We've been speaking, hata ukiangalia like the songs that Bien, nilikuwa na interview fulani ya Bien, alikuwa nasema like yeye amekuwa akiongelea about the same issue over and over again. And I believe it's about time that we as people, it's our own responsibilities, it's our own responsibility tuanze kusikiza hizi mangoma na tuanze kusikia like what's the message behind the song. Tusingoje ile time yenye things are getting critical for us to start going back to the songs and start listening to them. Because hizi ngoma zimekuwa hapa hivi and vitu zimekuwa zikihappen, but we don't have to wait for things to get worse. That's personally my take.
I'd like to say poets, artists, musicians, painters are modern day prophets, just as you say. And a country that doesn't listen to their artists perish. Because these things that we are advocating now, for now, zimekuwa kwa songs, zimekuwa kwa spoken word, zimekuwa kwa music. You share a poetry piece here 2019 and it resonates. And I think we need to come clean, CC audience. These people seated here, we need to respect their arts and respect their artists, because in Kenya we don't have structures that enables us to respect artists. Nimekuwa Broadway in New York, and artists are not just reflection of the society. We don't need to reflect. Anyone want to reflect society? Everyone can see. Artists are also leaders. Art is just a platform of a bigger cause. Art is just like politics is a platform to leadership, so is art. Art is just a platform. You have the platform. Now do with it something. Do with it something else. So kazi artist si kuitwa kuimba ku open session. Arts now you're creating a good precedence whereby we have a panel of artists. Artists kazi yake si on stage. We need to pick the mind of an artist and set the agenda with that. So we need to respect our artists more. The leaders need to respect. The leaders wanatusikia, just like this audience who are seated here, wanatusikia, but no one is acting. So we don't need to be listened to. We want people to act.
I'd like to pass the mic to our audience so that we get to have a conversation. If you have a question or a comment about art as a form of revolution, tunaweza penda kusikia kutoka kwenyu. I'd like a microphone passed around. Kama uko na swali unaweza inua mkono, kama uko na comment pia unaweza inua mkono pale, and so that we can have either questions or comments from the audience side. I don't know where my person is. Yeah, to pass the microphone around so that we can get to have a comprehensive conversation with you. And as we do that, also just a reminder, Citizen Assembly KE is how you can actually find us on different platforms as we interact. Citizen Assembly KE. Ukienda pale YouTube, Instagram, X, and of course on Facebook as well. We are also live. We'd like to interact on the same. Na pia as we continue, najua ndapatiana microphone pale before we get the question there. But I'd like to also understand how best you're capturing the moments right now. Is it inspiring you to write more? Is it taking you deeper and making you feel like we are hopeless right now? Simply because it started with Reject Finance Bill 2024. Sindio?
Yeah.
It moved from there na tukajipata kwa street through digital activism. Our brothers and sisters were on the street. Right now, everything that we thought was actually going to favor us is not favoring us. An example, one is do away with the cabinet secretaries. It happened, right? But later on, reinstatement of most of them. If not, they didn't bring new faces. They brought about the same old faces that have been in politics for the longest time. And then soon after, we are also looking at a situation whereby kama ile ofisi ambayo tulikuwa tunasema hatutaki ya the first lady zimerudi tena because parliament has said hii ofisi it's actually going to be really expensive to do away with all the other stuff. We might have some legal issues. I don't know what you'd like or how you'd like to respond to that, just as as a Kenyan, not as an artist. Yani, talk to us about the same. And of course, there's been so many deaths as a result. So in as much as kumekuwa na vifo, hakuna mtu amekuja akaanza kuaddress. Leo asubuhi Mama Rex was around. And when she was talking about her son, she got to humanize Rex. And I felt like I knew or I have known Rex for the longest time. There's so many people who've died in the protest, but the government has not responded to that. And as much as we're responding with music, na kusaidiana wenzetu, do you think that there's a far more responsibility that one, the National Police Service should take, two, that the government should also take before we just move on swiftly?
Yeah, I think there's so much that needs to be aligned. And I feel, in as much as we feel like things are not working, that does not mean that we need to stop. Like, we just need to keep on applying the pressure. We need to keep on trying. We need to keep on pushing till we see change. For this country to get to this place that we've gotten so far, it's because kuna watu waliamua ku fight for this country, and they never stopped. And I feel pia sisi mali tumefika, yes, we might not have everything, but we are somewhere and we're moving. And me I feel with the same energy, with the same voice, we just need to keep on pushing. We need, as a creative me, I'll keep on creating music that will speak to people, because that's my role personally. I'll keep on creating music that speaks to people. And me nitaajwa to the same thing. We just need to speak, we as citizens, because when we are being taxed, when taxation inaendelea ikikuwa more and more, it's burdening us. Ni sisi ndo tunaumia. So once we decide to keep quiet, inamaanisha sisi ndo tuendelea kuumia. And even if we're not seeing change, mi ndasema the biggest change lies pale kwa ballot box. And me believe when the next general election comes, naomba sana tusisahau, like let's not forget, tusisahau manze, because hii kitu inashindi kitu drain, like it keeps on draining us day in day out. And I believe like this is the time we just need to stay woke, we need to keep on applying pressure, and we need to keep on pushing. In as much as we feel like things are not working, they are slowly working. And I believe it's a journey. It's a journey, na ni pole pole. We keep on taking the baby steps till things shape up.
Does anyone want to add on something?
Yeah, I think for me, what this is an illustration of is that you think these people love you, right? We love this country. We love this country. And I know because of the people I interact with every day, right? People love their country. People love their lives. And I think there's a bigger flaw even in how we're socialized, right? Because if you look at our political class, you know, it's either you're coming from a privileged family or you are maybe an exceptional child that, you know, got treated in a special way all the way. And that kind of exceptionalism sometimes, it's a double-edged sword, because you treat somebody like they are out of the loop, out of the communal long enough, they're actually going to believe they're better than the community, right? Mm-hmm. They're actually going to believe that, you know, like I'm special, right? Yeah. And for me, I think the one thing I need us to normalize is, you know, like, okay, you're good. You should be conscious enough to know that you are unique, but also, you know, conscious enough to know that it's not like you're better than anybody else. Maybe you are gifted in a certain way. Doesn't make the other person less than you, right? Yeah. And in that regard, also, it means now we have to start thinking about what role does even the way we look at the hierarchy of life, you know, because what is it that makes somebody, you know, worth billions and somebody else like not in a position to afford the next meal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the biggest problem we have.
Yeah.
And just to pick up on what Dofar has said, it's true. And this will not end. It's ending now because we have our consciousness pricked, yeah? So we will only have a new generation of leaders who don't disregard our constitution and our laws and human rights and social justice if we have a new generation of voters. Let us not hide. Our leaders are the problem, but they're just a reflection of who we are. Even if we say, ati kwa ballot our leaders wanaiba, but you people mnawapeanga support enough ya kujustify kuiba. So also, as we are inside looking out, let us look in, so that vile Yani amesema tusisahau, Kenya inafanya na kuwa happy right now, ni that now conversation imekuja kwa citizens. Because each and every time sisi tunakuanga na hizi conversation, but kuna kuanga na shetani fulani pale kwa ballot box. Sijui anafanyanga nini. Eh? So citizens, your design. So it starts, the conversation starts from the citizens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe I could
Make it short so that we
yes.
go to the questions that we wanted to get from the audience.
I also think we need to add political education as part of our organizing. And so that people do not give up, people do not see that we've been pushed too far against the wall. Political education allows...
Civic education?
Yes, civic education, but also political education. Political education is understanding as an individual, what is your role in the society? How are you impacted by the factors that move the society? For example, right now, or as young people right now, we've understood that we have to come together, we have to organize ourselves as a collective so that we change the fate of our country. Yes.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We're going to be back with more, but nataka kusikia kutoka kwa audience yangu. Tafadhali, if you have a question, there's a lady over there who has a question. Kindly introduce yourself and give us your comment or just your expression on art as a form of revolution in the country or across the world.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Voice up kidogo tafadhali and pull the microphone closer to your mouth.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
My name is Lillian, and mine is not a question, it's a comment. In the years back, I don't know whether there's anyone who ever visited the Kenya National Theatre. Before, it was a space where you could go and find artists in one corner doing their thing. There's another group in another corner practicing. There are people acting. Yani, it was a safe space for artists, let me put it that way. Nowadays, it's so unfortunate that has become something else. Even creating content for TikTok, achana hata na YouTube. TikTok, it has become an issue to create content at the Kenya National Theatre. The name itself, Kenya National Theatre, it has changed to, I don't know what kind of space it has become. Sorry to say this, but the National Theatre today has become a parking lot. For the people who are maybe doing jobs around that area, they go park their vehicles there, wanaenda wanafanya kazi zao, jioni wanarudi, wanachukua gari zao, wanaenda. It has become a space where you can't go and shoot content without someone telling you you are not allowed to do that here. Without someone telling you, if you want to, maybe for actors, for writers who write scripts, for you to go and practice whatever you've written, you can't do that at the National Theatre without having to pay some amount of money. And yet, it's been called the Kenya National Theatre. So, what I think should be done for the artists, for the leaders who are present here, as much as we are trying to grab back our country, that is also one part that we also need to grab back, because there are so many talents that have been sat on because people don't have a space to do that. Thank you.
Viva! Viva! Occupy! 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 I think that guy should be my best friend. Thank you. After this, you see me, you're registering to be my best friend. There's more hands over here. The person passing the microphone, I don't know if you have one hand over there. And the person in charge of sound, kindly help us so that we can get to hear each other clearly. There's two hands over there. So, and also when you're making your submission, go straight to the point so that we have more responses to art as a form of revolution in the country.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Blue Smile Hassan. I'm an activist.
Kindly use your microphone.
Good.
We can hear you on this end.
Okay. So my name is Blue Smile Hassan. I'm a music activist from Kenyatta University. I'm also a media personality. My question, mine is a call to artists. You know, even after this revolution, we'll have maybe people will cool down, but people will be relying on music. Use those platforms that you have in music. Create songs every time to remind us. You're the ones who will be waking us up. If we relent, you come, give us songs. If it is accountability, we are calling. Let's have songs about accountability. If it is corruption, you're calling out, let's have songs about corruption. Yeah, that's my take. So just keep on reminding us. You are the ones who will be waking us up. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good address. Just saying that it doesn't stop with the revolution. Only when it's relevant to sing the songs and actually write things that capture this moment, it should be something continuous. There was one more hand over here. Just use the microphone. Continue using the microphone kindly.
Hello, everyone. My name is Evans Ouma, a student from the Technical University of Kenya. So my question is, as long as you, the artist, I know some of you have been in the forefront of this revolution, but I think some of you are also very embarrassing to us, because as we go on the street, we are going to fight for what is right. We are fighting for our future. What we are fighting for is for our future. Then when you come back, you go to the social media, you find some artist quoting himself or herself as the msanii wa serikali, abusing us, very serious, abusing you, discouraging you. I think even as now, we want to embark on the civil education of our citizens back at home, or maybe someone who doesn't understand what we are fighting for. Musicians were now supposed to be the core, the forefront of this thing that you are going to do. Local dialect musicians, local dialect and everything. But now we are in a point where musicians are divided. And if you observed keenly when you were on the streets, I was on the CBD, many artists only came there for the content. After coming there, posting photos, they disappear. They only live with this fight for us. So what I can say, if you are real with the citizens, come out, fight for us, and we'll win this game.
Thank you so much for that, and that's a good observation. I'll just have one more hand over there, and then we'll continue the conversation baadaye because of time. I'm sorry, my guys, because of time. I'll make sure that we get to have more and more as we continue, but because of time, there's this gentleman over here on the last one, but kindly make your submission short, and then I'll allow the gentleman real quick as we do our final remarks and responses.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Samuel Ogechi, a student at the Technical University of Kenya. Mine is all about the civic education that should be a responsibility to almost all of us, because the other day I was listening about the CSs that have been appointed, and some of the youths were celebrating and saying that mtu wetu amechaguliwa. Those are some of the tribal politics we are playing as a youth. So it is good that we go and educate someone or a friend of yours who is not from your tribe, maybe, that tribal politics will not help us or will not make us go anywhere as a part of us trying to bring in a revolution. So please, let's go and ensure that we educate the youth, the importance of us being unified in an attempt to achieve freedom from what we are experiencing right now. So please, let's do away from tribal politics and ensure that we educate our friends on the same. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the final gentleman on the same line. Make it short, kindly.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Gerald Mwangi Ole Walterfang. I'm delighted to be here. I purpose to be here with my good colleague here, who is Mike Memusi. The reason I've come here is because you did a very nice analogy and even presentation of art and music from a generation passed from baby boomer to where you are. First and foremost, we have come here to stand with you. I believe we are very few parents here, and we have come to say that we support what you're doing, and we're here because we are also touched. I also belong to a place that I'm sure when I say that, the gentleman who is singing at the back might start saying he'll occupy me. I also belong to the church. And I know that you have a lot to tell the church, especially the people who are seated here. And I came here to say that as we go through what we are going through, first and foremost, we want to say pole to the parents who lost their children. Secondly, we want to say that you have a message for this country and you're on the right track. Thirdly, I want to say that we support artists. I myself went through school, the National Theatre that she's mentioning, we went through there. In our schools at that time, we had what we used to call variety shows, and would have opportunities to perform and opportunities to give a message. That seems to have died. In this journey that you are taking, my message to you as a father and also as a grandfather as I stand is one, do the right thing as the young man has said. Do something that is giving us the value, not for you to be devalued with what you're doing, but to get enough support, even from the elderly community and the older ones. What I need you to know is, like, for example, you did a very nice song. I love the beat. But the message that is there is not one that I can be encouraging young people to be out there. I cannot be encouraging them to be drunk. I cannot be encouraging them to get lost. But I want to encourage you as an artist because it's what you're also feeling. The thing that we beg is, tell us what you're feeling, but let it add value to what we are doing in this country. Finally, artists are gifted in sending a message in the quickest way. Eric Wainaina did it. I was from the generation of Kibaki's time, 2002. That's when I was now considered a Gen Z at that particular time. And it is the songs that were being used that were helping to galvanize us and to work together. But art is not just about singing. It's not just about the spoken word. Art is also in the expression in terms of sports. I belong to a sport that was called a sport called bodybuilding. We used to go to the Kenya National Theatre, and we were permitted to come there and express ourselves. So mine is to say, we are with you, we are encouraging you, but please, as you also do it, consider the message. And as far as what you're doing today, we stand with you. And we had to come to stand with you. Thank you. God bless.
I'll humbly end at that point, but thank you so much for your submissions. Just a response to you, the song by Iani, if you remove it out of context, then it's preaching a bad message. But in context, in that moment, wakati tunasema ni kuwa na marafiki, it changes the conversation because he has songs that actually respond to our day-to-day life. And there are songs that are party songs. So in a party song, you don't need to get education from there. You can't start saying, drink responsibly in a club. Eh? Sindio? It's just like when you're saying anguka nayo sometimes, huwezi anguka kila mahali. You know? Lakini when it's necessary for things to anguka, nazo zinaanguka, my friend. Huyo ni Gen Z wa kitambo, tunakusupport, and thank you so much for the message. We really appreciate. Sindio? Alisema when we were Gen Z, sindio? Yeah, asante sana, but I really respect what you've said. And it's with that I'd like to come to the end of this conversation because of time, but just your parting shot, just 30 seconds as we respond. 30 seconds, kindly. From Iani, yes.
So first of all, I think to answer him, I'll start by saying, nikianza hii conversation nilisema music is meant to entertain and educate. And I believe hapa sijafanya wimbo moja. I've done a couple of songs. It's upon you as a person to pick the one that suits you and go with it. If unafilia pombe ikufai, very well and good. I really respect that. I've done so many songs, and as an artist, just because mimi wimba ngoma za pombe, haimaanishi society yangu ikikuwa affected, I won't sing a song that speaks about that. I'll do that. So it's upon you as a person, pick whatever you feel is good and go with it. Secondly, na nikimalizia, ningependa kusema, I think what's happening at the Kenya National Theatre is a clear indication that art is not being respected in this country. Art is not being respected. Now, inaonyesha, if you pick people, uwekele kwa position yenye, if you pick people who don't respect art and understand the value of art, uwekele kwa such position to lead artists, those are the results that you'll get. National Theatre itakuwa turned into a parking lot, yet hii space iko meant ku encourage creatives to keep on being creative, wa interact, and wazidi tu kusupportiana manze. And as I finish pia ningependa kuambia, let's keep on pressing. Kuna watu wanaweza kosa kuona the vision at the end of the day, but we are still going to get there. Kwa wale wenye wanaona vision, let's keep on pushing and let's keep on supporting. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you guys.
Let's make it shorter than that, kindly.
Thank you. Mimi, my parting shot, I'll do it as a spoken word. Yeah, 1 minute. and let's support our artists. Sawa sawa. So I perform in very unconventional places. Mi perform kwa matatu, tukipatana kwa matatu, you say hi. There's a piece I performed kwa ndege, ika do rounds, inaitwa Wajinga Nyinyi. Sijuzi muliona, small fish break the law anakujiwa, lakini big fish break the law, Nurdin Haji. Pesa ya kisima waliiba, and that's the damn truth. Sudden death is viewed kama spoiled votes, that's the sad truth. Hakuna food, shelter, matter, clothing, that's the naked truth. Mayouth hawana fare kwenda job interview, politician kenye namsumbua ni mafuta ya ndege, that's the plain truth. Life ain't easy, that's the hard truth. It's not about sagging, drugs no ina create my wasted youth. Inchi mashef hawezi afford ile food wana cook. Dom optician wanalipo hawezi hata piga look. Kill sin to see God, hata mtoe tithe ticket ya heaven na inunuliwi my mook. Itakuwaje cry za tajiri ni intellectual, lakini cry za maskini kwa masikio ya justice ni kelele? Itakuwaje mna believe in me na nikicheza kimimi mnashikwa na kiwewe? Itakuwaje mnaninyima opportunity ya kupata kazi, lakini kwa club mnataka nipewe? Na effect ya nguvu ya thao inafika malinduru ya mnyonge iwezi fika. Ballot box na DSTV zinafika malidisha iwezi fika. Watoto wanalala njaa juu ulikunywa na pesa ya kula, na vizuri unajua pombe iwezi lika. Wanasiasa wanadanganya, si movie peke yake ni kutriki. Ukisaidia rafiki yako pesa yako, unapoteza rafiki yako na pesa yako. Wonder why uko heartbroken, na ile hoteli yenye unaenda ukiwa na manzi yako, ukiwa peke yako, wewe huwezi jipeleka. Unatafuta mapenzi wapi na wewe mwenyewe umeshindwa kujipenda? Jesus alibetraywa na kiss. Nyinyi mko hapa mnajichocha juu mlipewa hug. Wajinga nyinyi. Na tuachane ya girls wasome. Tuachane ya girls wasome, si ndio? Juu utambiaje dem alishika bola akiwa high school? Education is the key na alishajifungua.
Uzee ndio hiyo. Okay. Mimi naweza sema kitu moja. Accountability I stop tu kwa wanasiasa. Unaona? Accountability inamaanisha kama wewe ni mfano wa msanii fulani na unafilu msanii anakuangusha design fulani, muulize maswali. Unaona? Ama unsubscribe. Ama unajua, because essentially hiyo view yako, hiyo like yako, hiyo comment yako ndio pesa ya msanii. Unaona? So ikifika mahali yenyewe tuna hold an accountable kila kitu. Alafu hizo spaces tunahitaji kuziliberate. We don't have enough artistic spaces, na lazima na the few that ziko ndio hizo zimegeuzwa parking lots, ndio? Alafu waziri alisema uchumi umepanda. Uchumi umepanda kwa nani? Na serikali saidia. Ilishageuka national anthem. National anthem ni ombi. Ombi la nani? Kama raia Turkana wako fasting by force. By force nafaa kungoja kwa traffic ndo rais apite. Rais apite akapumzike kwa ikulu. Ikulu imejengwa mbali na mwananchi. Mwananchi anataka kuongea na rais, pa rais afiki. Rais afiki, so imebidi ni nduru. Nduru kuko wenye walipiga kura ndo rais apite. Rais apite. Rais apite. Rais apite juu manifesto yake lidai kupunguza bei. Bei za bidhaa zikipungua, mwananchi anaweza afford by rais apike. Rais apike, anga tumbo itakuwa na kitu, akijipata kwa traffic akingoja rais apite. Rais apite, lakini kwanza assembly ifanyikie manifesto. Bado mwananchi hawezi afford kubai rais apike. Rais apike ndo rais apite. Inakuaje miaka 4 baadaye bado rais apiki? Rais apiki, na hata baada ya miaka 4 ya nduru bado rais afiki. Rais afiki. Na ni mwaka mmoja, miwili, mitatu, minne, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Hata baada ya mwaka 10 bado mwananchi anangoja nini?
Rais apike.
Apike. Malizia.
Haya, na mimi ningependa kupika kutoka kwa Yani, na kwa the theater tunasemanga furaha ni kuwa kwa mapinduzi. Kwa hivyo repeat after me. Furaha ni kuwa kwa mapinduzi. Viva comrades, viva. Na mapinduzi ni nini? Mapinduzi ni kuorganize. Kuorganize ni kutafutana. Ukijua kuna ma students ambao wamemadwa, na uko na courage ya kwenda police station, wewe ni wakili ama ni student wa law, unaenda unawatafuta, unawaweka pamoja, unapatia information ambao wanahitaji. Mapinduzi ni kueducatiana, kukaa pamoja chini, kuambiana historia correct ya Kenya ni gani, historia ambayo tunataka kuachia kivizazi ambavyo vinakuja ni gani. Mapinduzi ni liberation. Liberation ni kujipenda, kujitambua, kujikuza, kukuza wengine, si ndio? Asanteni. Forward social justice, forward.
Forward.
Asante sana, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls. That's all the time I had right now. Support me on my show on Nation FM. In the morning, we often have such conversation. On Monday, huwa tunakuwa na conversations about siasa na sheria. On Tuesday, tunaongelea technology. Wednesday, tunaongelea wellness. Thursday, tunaongelea about hustle na sustainability. Na ningependa tujue vile sisi tunaweza jikimu as individuals. I am just as young as you are, and I'm just as passionate as you are. But hii passion isikufe tukwe confused to digress from what is really coming from our hearts. How I pray that everyone in this room may become successful, but not because they are fighting to become successful. It's because the environment can sustain you enough and enable you to become successful.